supporting you in your dog parenting journey. The Dynamic Dog Owner with Debbie Potter.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Dynamic Dog Owner, the podcast designed to support you, the dog parent, in your dog parenting journey. As you know, this podcast is about supporting you, the dog parent, not necessarily about the how-tos of training, but how can you look at things from a different perspective? How can you get success? Getting your head in the right space for dog training and thinking about the other things beyond just teaching dog behaviours. So today, this episode is inspired by a conversation I had with a couple of clients whilst we were on our real-world walk in a local park last week about expectations when you get a dog and why are they so high? So most people, obviously we get dogs, we get puppies, and we have the expectation that our puppy and dog is just going to find life super duper easy. It's going to be plain sailing. We're going to take our puppy and our dog everywhere with us, and we're going to have the best life together, and there's never going to be a single issue. Then reality hits. But the question is, why do we have that expectation? Naturally, we're obviously very positive people because we think that's going to happen, and that's wonderful. And for some people, that absolutely happens. They live that easy dream, but many people don't. Now, the problem is, if we've not ever thought about it, it can be quite a emotional journey when we hit the bumps in the road, if we weren't expecting them, and everyone else's dog looks perfect, so why isn't mine? And my kind of point here is, why do we have that expectation? Why do we expect it to be so easy? One, human nature. We never, ever, ever talk about how hard something is. We just go, oh yeah, I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. I'm fine. Well, actually, you're really not fine. But everyone says fine because what else do you say? And most people don't actually want to know the answer. So how's your puppy getting on? Oh yeah, fine. Yeah, just like wrecked the house last night, chewed through a cable, did this, did that, and I don't know why the hell I got a puppy. Yeah, all fine. We don't tell people that nitty gritty, very rarely. And one of the things I think with dogs and puppies is most people get a dog or a puppy. That's two different camps. I got dogs and puppies. I've lived with dogs and puppies all my life. Well, not puppies, because I was never allowed a puppy as a kid. But I got one when I was an adult, and now I've had three. So most people either have had a dog, live with a dog, and it's just natural they're going to have dogs. But some people have never had a dog and go, I want a dog. Even if you've had dogs growing up, having your own dog first responsibility is completely different, because as a child growing up, you were not responsible for the dog. You just enjoyed the fun bits. Your parents had all the stress about that. So it's slightly different. But if it's your first dog as an adult with complete responsibility, or you've never had a dog before, we get a dog, and the majority of the experiences we've had with dogs, for most people, are, I went out and I saw a cute dog. I went to the cafe and there was a nice cute dog sitting under the table. I went to the pub and there was a dog curled up under the pub table. I walked my, I know you, I was about to say you walk your dog, but you're not going to have a dog because you haven't got one yet. I walked along the canal and there was a lovely dog just trotting along by his owner. I went out for the day and there was a lovely dog just walking around the National Trust place, beautiful, happy. I went for a walk in the countryside and there was a lovely dog just trotting along. It said hello to a couple of people and then it carried on. It walked past all the sheep and the horses. It was perfect. We see well-behaved, and I hate the phrase well-behaved, but we generally see the dogs that find life easy. So you see the dogs that can chill out in a pub or a cafe quite happily. You see the dogs that beautifully walk on their lead. You see the dogs that can trot along off lead. You see the dogs that can ignore everything around them. You see the dogs that can enjoy a family day out because people take them. If your dog can't do any of those things, it is human nature to want to leave them at home. I'm not going to lie, I'm not beating around the bush. But majority of people are going to go, oh, it's just going to be too stressed if we take the dog, let's leave them at home. Because if you're going to enjoy a family day out or a pub trip, you're not going to take your dog who struggles the whole time in a pub because you're not going to enjoy it. On holiday, you have to. And there's sometimes you have to, but majority of the time, if you have a choice, let's take the dog and have a really stressful time because it doesn't know how to do this and it gets wound up. I get wound up. We all hate it and we have a rubbish day. Or let's leave the dog at home and have a lovely relaxing time. Most people, we know what they're going to pick, right? So you only see the dogs that can cope. You only see the dogs that can excel in those areas. And therefore, we never see the dogs that struggle, or rarely do we see the dogs that struggle. So we don't, because just simply, we don't walk them in busy places. If you've got a reactive dog, you're not going to take it to the busy places. You're not going to take it to National Trust on a sunny Sunday afternoon. You're not going to take it to the pub if it's going to bark when anyone moves. You're not going to take it to those places because it's too stressful for you and your dog. Normal, fine. You know, if your dog pulls on the lead, you're not going to take it on a lead walk around the National Trust for 6 hours. You might, but you're not going to enjoy it, and you're few and far between. So majority of people only see dogs that can do stuff. Therefore, we as unsuspecting dog owners who go, I think I'm going to get a dog. So therefore, we have the expectation that our dog that we get is going to be one of these dogs that can go everywhere with us. We don't consider the alternative because we don't see it. And we only have that or know about it if we know someone with a dog who does have the other experience where some things can be tricky. So we go into it expecting that lifestyle. And then when it doesn't quite work out that way, you think you're the only one because you've not met anyone else with a reactive dog, because again, they're trying to avoid you like you're trying to avoid them. You haven't met dogs that struggle in the pub because you've only seen the nice ones in the pub who can. So naturally, you don't realise that there's lots of other people doing exactly the same as you, that their dogs are at home while you're on a day out just the same. So we then, naturally as people, feel quite disheartened, feel demoralised, because we've gone into it expecting something. And it kind of sort of links back to why don't we talk about all the dogs that do find life hard? Why are they so judged? Yes, my dog barks at people. So what? Who cares? But naturally, we do care. And this is why I think that we have, say, sort of misaligned expectations sometimes. And people, I'm not judging people here. I'm just saying this is what happens. If you've had an easy dog and you've never had to worry about any of these things, or even one of them, or whatever, you don't have an understanding of what it's like for people that do. So we can liken this to people as well, but we're not going to, because that'd get me off on a whole other topic and a tangent. If, for example, your puppy is biting and it's getting really tough and it's really hard, someone says to you, oh, well, all I did was this and it worked. That's easy, just do this. And you do it and it doesn't work, you then go, well, I'm a failure, aren't I? Because they said it was easy, but I can't do it because they've not experienced your puppy, because every dog is different and what works for one doesn't always work for another. But naturally, you then feel like you are a failure because someone else said it was easy and you're not finding it easy. You then think it's you that's the problem rather than the dog. I always say it, and I'll say this quite a lot, is if people haven't had a reactive dog, they have no idea about the hard work and effort it goes into living with a reactive dog and actually helping them have a life and enjoy life. People who have had a reactive dog are much more respectful, and generally, I'm not tarnishing everyone here, but if you have had a reactive dog at some point, or lived or experienced or even known someone with a reactive dog, you have a lot more understanding on how to respect other people's dogs who are reactive. Because if your dog's always just been sociable, you just naturally go, let's go and say hello to that dog. You don't stop and think that dog actually I might be really scared. And you don't stop and ask, you might just walk directly towards them. Which is, so there's nothing wrong with it, because as I will always say, this is not a phrase my dad always used to use, love him, you only know what you know at the time. You can only act on the information and the knowledge you have at a time. You can't do what you don't know. He didn't say it quite like that, but you get the gist. You only can work with the information you have at the time, and you can only make the decision based on what you think is right now. You never know how it's going to work out. You can't do the if, buts, maybes, just this is the information you work with. And it's the same, that's why, if you've never had a reactive dog, that's absolutely fine. I'm not saying you're not a good dog owner, you absolutely are. It's just you haven't lived the other side of it, so you don't know the impact that can come from another dog coming into your space, for example, or the panic it can cause. And if you have more understanding. So for example, with me, none of my dogs are severely reactive. That sounds like there's a level of it. They are all reactive in different ways, but they're all quite manageable. So Dave's reactivity is just big, loud, bouncy, I want to be your best mate. He's big and he's strong. I can't hold it at the moment because I've still dodged my shoulder up from falling down the stairs. That's another topic for another day. Ongoing pain. But I know he's friendly and lovely and happy. He's just trying to say hello to people. It doesn't cause him external stress. It doesn't upset him. It doesn't have a knock-on effect to him. He just wants to say hi to people and we move on. And sometimes he can say hello and sometimes he can't. My next dog, Rem, he's reactive. He lays down. Again, it's not an issue if you walk up to him. He's not going to get up. He's not going to get upset. He's not going to hurt your dog. He's not going to do anything. He's okay. He just won't move out of a little bit of fight, flight, freeze. He freezes. When I get in, he'll be stressed from an encounter. But we can manage that because he's just stressed from any walk, really. He holds it all in on a walk and it's perfect, gets home and relieves it all. But Fred is really sensitive. So if he has an encounter, it will add to his stress bucket quite a lot. But some dogs, if they are fearful, that interaction of a dog coming over to them can absolutely crush the last 3 or 4 months of progress. So it can be quite catastrophic. So I don't mind if dogs come over to me because of my reactive dogs. Generally it's fine. But other people aren't. So I will always give dog space. If I see a dog walking towards me on the same side of the road, if I can, I'll always cross the road. Whether that dog tells you, whether there's any sign that the other dog is uncomfortable or not, I will always cross the road because I think it's easier for your dog. I don't know your dog. I don't know if they're going to be comfortable with us walking towards them. So we'll cross over. If I see a dog struggling, absolutely will turn around. There used to be a dog where we lived before and it didn't like people. And I'd be like, if I was out with my kids, I'd be like, stop, turn around, look at me for a minute, don't look at the dog. Just let him walk past. We're going to move away. We're going to give him space because he was a bit wary of people. So we would always stop and give that dog space if we saw him coming, because I could tell that you can tell if you know what you're looking for. You can tell the dog is starting to feel stressed. But you can see the owner going, oh, this person. So I would always help them. This is kind of going off a tangent now, but it's a expectation. It's that we can help and support others. But we need to think about what happens when we do get in this situation where it's not what we expected. And a lot of us will turn to failure and go, it's all me, I've done something wrong. When it's not, it's just you had expectation from the lovely accounts on Instagram you see and from all the lovely dogs you do see. If you are struggling and finding it tricky, it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just that you don't know, you haven't seen enough of it to know it's normal and know how to get help and what help you need. So again, majority of people, if they start experiencing problems, will naturally say there's something wrong with my puppy or there's something wrong with what I'm doing. I'm getting it wrong. And sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, but we're here to tweak, we're here to help. So if someone suggests something to you and says, oh, it's easy, why don't you just do this and it doesn't work? It's because that method worked for them, but it's not going to work for you and your dog. So that's where you come and speak to a trainer who has multiple approaches of working with something and says, right, try this. If that doesn't work, try this. And we can look at it from this approach and from that approach, looking at it from every angle, not just, I did this and it worked. Because when you are finding something hard and someone just says, oh, you just do this, it really doesn't help. I've been in the same situation, not with my dogs, but with my kids. Oh, well, you just do this. But that doesn't work. It might work for you, but it doesn't work for me because you don't know my kids. And it's the same thing with your dog. So yes, there are some things we can try. And we might just say to you, oh, just try this. But if it doesn't work, we'll always give you a new alternative. But basically the main topic of this is that it's not you not doing things right. It's the fact that we don't see dogs that struggle out and about in public. So we go into something with different expectations or with sort of rose-tinted expectations effectively, because we just don't see the dogs that find life hard. And that's a shame really, isn't it, when you think about it, because we should see those dogs out and about, and we should in terms of reactivity, etc., we should help them integrate into normal life a bit more. But hey, that's another topic for another day. But you are not doing anything wrong, and your dog is not wrong, your dog is not broken. You just are in a different space, and you need to find your tribe. And your tribe may not be with the dogs that can do everything. It might be with the dogs that struggle. So for example, with other things, similar things. So for example, we have dogs we work with who struggle with reactivity and feeling confident around other dogs. We have a space for them all to be together, which I know sounds really strange. Let's put a group of reactive dogs together. But we do it in a way that they can all build confidence. Last week before, we took our reactive dogs on a group walk, and they all enjoyed doing a normal dog activity, going for a walk in the woods, but they all did it together, all knowing that they were in the same boat, and all of them, a couple of them, I'd never have done this before, and we've never been and done this because I didn't think we could. So there are ways to help and support, and there are groups and there's support there for you. It's just knowing that your dog isn't not normal. It's just they don't sit in the sort of public space as much as others do. So that's why we have high expectations, because we see the dogs that can do it and we don't see the ones that don't. Hopefully this has been useful. I don't really know if it has. I just waffled and then I went off a tangent and then come back again. But hey, find the space where you and your dog sit. Find the space that works for you. And if you need any help and support with it, always just drop us a message. Have a lovely week, and we'll catch up with you really soon.
If you love listening to the podcast, why not check out the Pawcademy for practical dog training advice and how-to videos. The hub is broken down into sections, and hundreds of pre-recorded videos are there for you to start watching whenever you choose. You can watch them back as many times as you like. You also get to talk to other community members and discuss your training, and benefit from live Q&As with myself where you can get your questions answered. Why not make use of our 3-day free trial where you can access all of the content on the hub absolutely free for 3 days. The link is in the description below, so do check that out, and I can't wait to see you in the hub. Thank you for listening to The Dynamic Dog Owner with me, Debbie Potter. See you next time.